Truly common peace in war times. This is Daniel chapter 8. By Zane Kachve Lechet NoopooH. NoopooH Kinu Unu NoopooH. Noon Ethiopian year 60. NoopooH embryo year 96. 11/3/2022. Daniel 8 verse 2 says, "And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam, and I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai." Daniel 8:3. "Then I lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had two horns, and the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last." Explanation: the horns are spirit beings. Daniel 8:4. "I saw the ram pushing westward, northward, and southward, so that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hands, but he did according to his will, became great." Explanations: the ram is the Aries constellation represented by Marsha, Auntie Mars. "And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes." Explanation: the goat is the Capricorn constellation represented by Saturn, Auntie Saturn, and it also just means that this person was a specific, or not a specific, but what you would call an important incarnation. That's all they're saying. They're recognizing that this particular individual has a spirit being that is here to do a job and change the course of history, or continue the changed course of history, which is the start of the moon cycle. This is the he-goat. Y'all gonna learn that this book has a lot of astrolatry and Sabaism in it. Planet theism. Daniel 8:6. "And he came to the ram that had two horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran up to him in the fear of his power." Daniel 8:7. "And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler," which is anger, "against him, and smote the ram, and break his two horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground, and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand." Explanation: this is Auntie Mars and Auntie Saturn battling it out back then. This writer had done a few videos on our orbs disagreements called Beef Amongst the Black Race in America, referred to Don't Carry Their Beef videos 1-8. So again, if you go to my YouTube, this is exactly about 8 videos that go in deep into how the planets have problems. And it goes into your natal chart, and that will explain why certain things happen for you, and why certain things don't happen for you, and stuff like that. Again, get a professional to read your natal chart for you, and then you can go from there and help you. As far as studying that, then you can kind of look more into your life and why you move the way you move. Alright, this is Don't Care That Beef Part 1, and this is Don't Care That Beef Part 8. Alright, both of these was done 6 months ago. Which planet are friends in astrology? Planetary friends and enemies. Here you see Saturn, friends, neutral, and enemies, and you can see Mars is on the list of enemies. Keep telling y'all, these orbs are conscious and they have problems just like we do. It's just they just big, and they problems play out in different ways, but a lot of it plays out on Earth in the form of human beings and governments, and sometimes natural disasters and things like that. And whoever they particular people on Earth that they're controlling, you know, that's how they get things going on between themselves. And this is why you got all those stories like the Greeks and the Romans and our ancient ancestors would say that the gods play around with human beings and move them around like chess pieces and stuff like that, which is true, actually. Alright? Daniel 8:8. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven. So, again, this is dealing with, on one level, the so-called four empires that the statue was talking about, but we're looking at the astrological part of the Bible and the spiritual, but this is more so to give y'all the actual bigger hands behind it, or oars behind it rather. Explanation: the horn spear being was removed from the human it was incarnated in, causing trouble, because that's what happened. All of these is battles of these particular entities that are being up one behind the other. But all of this is definitely problems that is being explained on a greater level. Daniel 8:9. And out of one of them came forth a little horn which waxed exceeding great towards the south, and towards the east, and towards the pleasant land. Explanation: this is speaking about spirit reproduction. Listen to reason. The origins of original spirit beings, spirits not produced from or by other spirit beings, are the center brains of universe orbs and universe bodies such as the sun, earth, and moon of our solar system. Original spirit beings are spirit gods and goddesses, and they can and might produce other spirit beings of various powers and degrees who may or may not be gods and goddesses of noticeable or notable magnitude, or might be just helper spirits. In other words, original spirit beings are gods and goddesses of immortality, and they can produce descendants and helper spirits. Spirit beings multiply, reproduce offspring by division, meaning the male principle, the father, and the female principle, the mother, divide part of themselves and magnetically and magically adhere and fuse the two procreative parts together to reproduce another related and similar spirit beings. The offspring is female if the greater inherent part of the offspring is female, and the offspring is male, of course, if the greater inherent part of the descendant is male. The gods are further discussed in the following topic of this book. When the writer mentions the gods without mentioning their goddesses, let it be understood that their goddesses are automatically included where feasible or appropriate. A god or goddess is not always an individual spirit being, and vice versa. Let it be remembered, also let it be known. Introduction to the Nature of Nature, Book 1, pages 75 through 76, Daniel 8:10. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. Explanation: this is speaking about when there are disagreements between the orbs and spirit beings. The moon god, being the messenger of the gods, means whatever he states as oracles is supposed to be agreed upon by the gods and backed up by the gods and goddesses. Yet, when the agreement and backup do not happen, there is a difference in leadership, intentionally or unintentionally, among spirit beings, and thereby struggles and strife between and among people, which lead to the creation of various religions and people fighting and also killing each other for the sake of survival and pleasure and honor for spirit being. This has been the nature of the 6 moon cycle, the cycle of death, the dead, and destruction. Nevertheless, it is the way the moon cycle was supposed to be, according to the smash circle of order. Let it be remembered. Introduction to the Nature of Nature, Book 1, page 132 in part. Listen to reason. According to the unabridged American English Dictionary, there are 2 categories of spirit beings: agatho demons, good spirits, and cackle demons, evil spirits. But the writer adds a 3rd category and calls it the agatho demons, a combination of the cackle demon and agatho demon classification, meaning those spirits who are evil and good, or good and evil. One reason for the 3rd category or classification is the fact that all spirit gods and goddesses in the bottom half of the symmetrical order have a Negative side, like everybody and everything else, have opposites within themselves. And this means that the Agatho demon category of spirits can fit into any of the three categories depending on their likes and dislikes, the time and the season, the laws and cycles of nature. However, all spirits are not gods and goddesses, and thereby may have to fit into the good or evil classification only, because if a spirit is not a god or goddess, it is a helpful spirit who follows orders to do good. If the nature of the spirit is good, or follows orders to do evil, if the nature of the spirit is evil. Like all intelligent organization has chain of command, meaning the high end rank gives orders or commands to the lower rank. Let it be remembered always and let it be known. Introduction to the Nature, Book 1, pages 72 and 73. In the Bible, these horns or angels are called stars, Kokab in Hebrew. The Bible refers to angels as stars. The stars fought from heaven. From their course, they fought against Sisera, Judges 5:20. And his tail swept away a third part of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she gave birth, he might devour her child, Revelation 12:4. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and they cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. Now remember, this is talking about spiritual on one note and then physical on another note. So when they're fighting, this is why I just read the part about Tahuti being the messenger of the gods, and if there's some miscommunication for whatever reasons, it plays out on earth in the form of human beings fighting and creating the religions and all this stuff like that. So don't forget that. This also refers to when Osiris took over spiritual leadership in 38 BCE forward to 1962 AD, caused much bloodshed and problems. You know it's Osiris because the quote says it waxed great, meaning grew in power to the host in heaven, meaning it had to come from the ground. The earth god Geb and went toward the host of heaven, Tahuti, and there was war in heaven, the spirit world, earth's atmosphere. Let me add here, this is not talking about Revelation chapter 12. I'm not talking about that, because that took part long ago. All right, this particular point is that, again, remember, spirit beings have organizations just like human beings do, and there's rank, and that happens everywhere. Sometimes the chain of command is not followed. Sometimes you got treason. Sometimes you got somebody that's going to buck the system, who's not going to follow directions. All that type of stuff happens. All right, and said and went toward the host of heaven, Tahuti, and there were war in heaven, the spirit world, earth's atmosphere. All right, so this is earth's atmosphere, which is the spirit world. So from here all the way up here are gases. Remember, gases and spirits are interchangeable. Some gases are non-conscious, and then you have some gases that are conscious. All right, but this is the spirit world that Noon speaks about. Osiris is methane gases that came from the underworld and has grown strong in the atmosphere since 38 BCE and has reached into the stratosphere. This is the highest methane can go. This is the highest far as Osiris can go. And notice, look at stratosphere, and the color is what? Green, because green is methane, which is death. And this is why the colors you see of Osiris sometimes on the wall of Kemet are green. See, concentration are shown in parts per million by volume. Methane is created near the surface and is carried into the stratosphere by rising air in the tropics. So you have to just go and do some research. All right, again, Osiris gas spirit location. Refer to the video, How Oxygen Possesses Human Beings, Part 3, Methane. I did this video several months ago, and you can see Osiris is green. Daniel 8:11. Yea, he magnified himself unto the prince of the host, and by him the day of sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. Alright, so in this case, the him is really them. That's NoopooH. NoopooH and them is moving through the orbs, and in this case, Jutah, which is when the sun cycle comes in. Now she no longer has to be in the background as Horus. It's now her time to bring in the sun cycle, which she has. So the planets are female, but because in the bottom half the female forces are more dominant, Zeus or Jupiter or Auntie Jutah is considered the king of mankind and animals. She's the king of the bottom half. Our sun does not rule in the bottom half. Alright? So that is them getting into it. And she's making moves to remove Osiris. Alright? Yeah, he magnified himself even unto the prince of the host. So Osiris is like, yeah, I'm the big dog, I'm the god of the planet, you know, and all this stuff talking about he got a planet named after him named Pluto, which is false. Pluto's not a planet. You know, it's a whole bunch of stuff. I still got to do a video on that too, because y'all need to realize how insane Osiris is and how he's so infatuated with planets and being called one. Alright. And the place of his sanctuary was cast down. The explanation. This speaking of Osiris power being taken away from him February 5th, 1962 AD to February 5th, 2025 AD, because NoopooH is here and the sun cycle of Auntie Jutah, Jupiter, had begun. Daniel 8:12. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Explanation. It means the facts of what is really going on in reality, and Osiris and his spirit forces killed and suppressed any way he could from those facts being made known. Even now, at the time of this writing, 11/4/2022 AD, Daniel 8:13. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgressions of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot? Explanation. He is asking how long will it take for Osiris' power to be removed and the daily sacrifice to stop. The reason sacrifice is mentioned is because Osiris actually requires human and animal sacrifices to sustain his existence, as well as all spirit beings, but ghost spirit is more negative and more bloodthirsty. The blood of the best known victims of Dracula is sent to the high places in Caucasian religions, and that blood is offered up to 6 ether Jesus, and the ghost guard the spirit of the Osiris mummy, and the ghost subsists on the blood. Then ghost gets thicker and stronger in the atmosphere around the earth, for it is multiplied from the blood of those victims offered up in rituals, and those whose blood is spilled outright. As ghost gets thick and strong in the atmosphere, its posterity, the Caucasian race, gets stronger to perpetuate oppression and captivity, and keep the captive prepared for future needs of the ghost and its prosperity. Bible Interpretation Explanation, Book 2, number 60 and part. And I think this one was written in 1968. So this is why I was saying up here about the spirit world. And so when they do these rituals on religions, these hidden sacrifices, where they're sex trafficking and human trafficking for these purposes, they take these people either underground and do all these rituals, or they have their, for 6 ether Jesus, they'll take these victims above ground into high places, whether they high in actual location, or they consider these high institutions above ground, and they sacrifice human beings and animals and all that stuff, and that energy, that death of the body and blood is going into the air and is raising up in the atmosphere, because the tropics, which is the air of the earth, and the wind brings it and rises up, even with the atmosphere of heat and condensation, all that stuff brings and spreads ghost guards, death gases into the stratosphere. Alright, Daniel 8:14. And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Explanation. 2,300 days is incorrect. The time it takes to totally remove Osiris assault from power is from February 5th, 1962 AD to February 5th, 2025 AD. That is a total of 63 years. There are a total of 23,010 days in 63 years. As you can see, the numbers are quite similar. And this also goes into when the Bible in Revelation said that you will be tried for 10 days. They took off 23,000. All right, so they're being tried for not just the 6,000 years that they ruled, right, and then the last 2,000 years that Osiris ruled, but also the totality of everybody that existing from February 5th, 1962 to February 5th, 2025 AD and beyond. Those of us who survived Armageddon and the Cataclysm, that is the trial. This whole thing is you're being tested and tried, while the sanctuary, which is the planet, is the sanctuary, will be cleansed above ground and underground and deeper underground, where all these different things are taking place. All right, so 2 minute cosmic peace in wartime.